In this video, we will continue to work on graphing linear inequalities. First, let's start by reviewing the steps. So your first step is that you're going to solve for y so the inequality is in mx plus b form. Then you're going to plot the y-intercept or the b value. Next, you'll use the slope to plot more points. Then you're going to draw in the appropriate line. So if your inequality symbol is less than or greater than, you're going to use a dashed line. And if your inequality symbol is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you're going to use a solid line. Lastly, you're going to shade the appropriate region. So if your inequality symbol is greater than or equal to, you're going to shade above. And if your inequality symbol is less than or equal to, you're going to shade below. Now let's try our first example. So it says to graph the two-variable inequality. First thing we have to do is solve to get y by itself. So in order to do so, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So my inequality will become y is less than negative 2x plus 4. So now it's in that mx plus b form. And I can use this to determine that the slope, or the value for m, is negative 2, and the y-intercept, or the value of b, is 4. And remember, we're going to start by graphing the y-intercept. So I can plot my point at 0, 4, and then I'm going to determine the next point using the slope. And remember that since the slope is negative 2, I can really rewrite this as negative 2 over 1. And remember that slope is rise over run. So I'm going to go down 2 and over 1 and plot my new point. Now if I look back at the inequality that we're graphing, the inequality symbol is less than. So I can use this to determine that we're going to use a dashed line. So I can draw in my line using a ruler through the points. And I can also determine that since it's less than, we're going to shade below. So I'm going to shade everything below the line. In our next example, we're again going to graph the two-variable inequality. So we have to solve to get y by itself. So I'm first going to subtract 4x from both sides. So I'll negative 2y is less than negative 4x plus 6. And to finish getting y by itself, I have to divide everything on both sides by negative 2. However, in this case, since I am dividing everything by a negative number, this means that you're going to have to flip the inequality sign. So it will become y. We flip the sign, so instead of being less than, it becomes greater than. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 becomes positive 2x, and 6 divided by negative 2 becomes minus 3. Now from this point I can graph. So since this is already in that mx plus b form, I can determine that the slope, or the value of m, is 2, and the y-intercept, or the b value, is negative 3. So I can plot my point for the y-intercept at negative 3, and since my slope is 2, that means it's really 2 over 1. And using rise over run, I'm going to go up 2 and over 1 and plot my new point. Now we need to figure out the rest of the graph. So if I look back at the inequality that I'm using to graph, my inequality sign is greater than. So this tells me first that I'm going to have a dashed line that I can draw in, and then it also tells me that I'm going to, since it's greater than, I'm going to shade above. So I'm going to shade everything above the line on my graph.